Good day, Achievers! This is TCWD Breaking News. As part of sustainability, United Nations established 17 Sustainable Development Goals. All UN member states endorsed the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in 2015, which provides a shared roadmap for peace and prosperity for people and the planet today and in the future. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals, are also known as SDGs, are at its core, and they represent an urgent call to action for all countries, developed and developing, to work together in a global partnership. They understand that eradicating poverty and other forms of deprivation must be combined with efforts to enhance health and education, decrease inequality, and boost economic growth, all while combating climate change and protecting our oceans and forests. Before proceeding to the decoding part, let us first know what these goals are. Let's hear it from Goingco. Kyle?
Yes, Armee. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals are the following. 1. End poverty. 2. End hunger. 3. Well-being. 4. Quality education. 5. Gender equality. 6. Water and sanitation for all. 7. Affordable and sustainable energy. 8. Decent work for all. 9. Technology to benefit all. 10. Reduce inequality. 11. Sustainable cities and communities. 12. Responsible consumption by all. 13. Stop climate change. 14. Protect the ocean. 15. Take care of the earth. 16. Live in peace. And lastly, mechanisms and partnerships to reach the goals.
Kyle, among the 17 sustainable goals, which do you think is the most achievable and why?
The most achievable goal is reducing inequalities. We can combat inequalities through collaborative efforts between public and private sectors and individuals. Well-established businesses can improve economic inclusion by providing respectable jobs and higher wages. With the abundance and variance of existing advocacies for human welfare, we can improve social services and guarantee that people have access to social safety nets. Safe migration and mobility are made easier, and irregular migration can be also addressed. This also encourages pro-poor economic policies and development of equitable and transparent tax systems according to European Commission. If we accomplish this goal, we can gradually end poverty and hunger, promote well-being and gender equality, and also provide decent work for all. And mechanisms and partnerships to reach the goals will be within our grasp.
How about the least achievable and why? Do you have information about that?
The most challenging goal to achieve is the creation of sustainable cities and communities. One of the most important trends of the 21st century is urbanization. Though urbanization also brings with a slew of difficulties, the Switzerland Federal Department of Foreign Affairs in 2021 said that the environmental impact of cities is huge. They account for 3/4 of global resource use and 75% of global emissions, despite occupying only 3% of the Earth's area. Despite the utilization of state-of-art technologies and scientific innovation in promoting sustainable energy for society, it cannot cater to the continuous growth of the population, and the majority of these individuals cannot afford to accommodate sustainable energy, leaving them no choice but to confide with what's offered in the market, even if it causes harm to the environment.
As of now, Kyle, which do you think the citizen around the globe should address with urgency? Can you further elaborate on that?
Citizens must address climate change with urgency and be part of the solution in eradicating this dilemma as soon as possible. Recently, on April 6 this year, following the release of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change new report, over 1,000 scientists from 25 different nations held protests. According to the research, swift and significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions are required by 2025 to avert catastrophic climate effects. The NASA scientists said that we only have 3 to 5 years left to make a choice in saving the Earth from climate change before it's too late. If we stay complacent and decided to ignore what's happening to our planet, climate change effects will be irreversible. So let's be part of the solution and join the movement #LetTheEarthBreathe.
Thank you, Kyle. To achieve these sustainable development goals, how can we help as ordinary citizens?
That's a great question, Armee. We can help as ordinary citizens through number 1, getting an education and volunteering our time to teach other people. Number 2, self-discipline by buying the things that we only need. Number 3, offering skills and being involved with voluntary works through charity works and community activities. And lastly, participating in the movement of consume responsibly, zero hunger.
Last inquiry, Kyle. As citizen of the world, what should we collectively do to fulfill the goals for sustainable development?
Armee, in my opinion, we can collaborate in fulfilling the mentioned goals through, for the business owners and management, providing a healthy workplace is necessary. Practicing reduce, reuse, recycle, and being considerate and responsible in water use. Donating to organizations within the community that promote the betterment and help to achieve meaningful objectives.
Thank you, Kyle, for bringing us the latest update and insights about the goals. And that's all for our breaking news. TCWD Patrol will be aired next after the commercial.
According to the United Nations in 2019, in some 90 countries, women devote on average roughly 3 times more hours a day to unpaid care and domestic work than men, limiting the time available for paid work, education, and leisure, and further reinforcing gender-based socioeconomic disadvantages. Moreover, insufficient progress on structural issues at the root of gender inequality, such as legal discrimination, unfair social norms and attitudes, decision-making on sexual and reproductive issues, and low levels of political participation are undermining the ability to achieve Sustainable Development Goal number 5. With this said, here are some of the methods that we can do to promote and achieve gender equality. Number 1. You yourself can join social media campaigns. Organize gender equality events in your class. Number 2. Establish a regular conversation in your family, school, or work environment about gender roles in household management, careers, and women empowerment. Number 3. Support awareness campaigns about child marriage, genital mutilation, or volunteer to educate young girls about their rights. Number 4. Be a source of motivation to other youths in taking actions toward gender equality.
Good day, Achievers. I am Josh Penasales,
I am Mary Alvaro.
and we're going to discuss with you information about sustainable economic systems, stability, and sustainability.
To get started, there was a strong impression that the global economy became a sphere of extreme uncertainty and risk during the first decade of the 21st century. A dimension of the crisis that began in 2007 can be recalled in this topic point. A serious breakdown challenged the foundations of modern approaches to the creation of welfare.
Financial markets collapsing, rising unemployment, deepening inequality, a dwindling middle class, excessive indebtedness, and government incapacity to force through reforms were only some of the signs of global crisis. Likewise, the issue of climate change and the scarcity of resources. Resources critical to the development of technology needed to keep the economy growing continued to surface.
A German sociologist named Ulrich Beck, who coined the term race society way back in 1986, has foretold this event for many years.
This is where the stability and sustainability discourse enters the scene. Let's hear it from Alyana Glorioso to know about these topics. Alyana?
Yes, Josh and Mary, stability is associated with firmness in position, permanence, and resistance to change. The International Monetary Fund 2012 defined the term stability as avoiding large swings in economic activity, high inflation, and excessive volatility in exchange rate and financial markets. This refers to indexes that describe the economy in short-term categories. According to NUC 2009, every economy goes through periods of rapid expansion with increased demand, higher inflation, and lower unemployment, followed by depression with reverse phenomena within a few years.
Does this mean excessive highs and lows should be avoided?
That's right, Josh. Extreme highs and lows should be avoided at all costs.
With that said, Alyana, could you share with us the occurrences with the correlation of these excessive highs and lows under stability?
In 1929, the Great Depression took place and there is a dramatic collapse of the economy after long years of post-war prosperity and overproduction. But after a few years, in the 1970s, the global crisis opened the gates to new economic ideas. This is where the term monetarism is sprung, wherein there is a control in the produced amount of money in circulation, which is built on the idea of stability. This is monetarism is a beneficial move for the economy.
Based on our data, global capitalism began to dominate by Milton Friedman. What can you say about that, and can you tell us about this man?
Milton Friedman was an American economist and statistician who believed strongly in free-market capitalism. Friedman's economic theories evolved into monetarism, which I mentioned earlier, and what it is all about. Friedman highlighted the role of monetary policy in causing and perhaps prolonging the Great Depression in his book, A Monetary History of the United States, 1867 to 1960. Going back to global capitalism complemented neoliberalism, which grew in popularity as a result of Ronald Reagan's free market reforms in the United States and Margaret Thatcher's in the United Kingdom. The term global capitalism refers to capitalism that extends beyond national borders. In acknowledgement of the three periods or epochs that preceded it, it is regarded as the fourth epoch of capitalism.
Aside from the Great Depression, are there other crises in the past?
Yes, Josh, even in the 1990s, a lot happened, and the world economy collapsed. Asian financial crisis in 1997, which was the fall of the currency exchange rate, and the bursting of the hot money bubble were the causes when the value of the Thai baht plummeted. It raced into East and Southeast Asia. This later followed the Russian crisis. The Russian crisis occurred during Russia's transition from communism to a free market economy during the first decade of the country's transformation. The Soviet Union, of which Russia was the most important member, had a centrally planned economy with a fixed price system, full employment, and modest economic disparities. After the Russian crisis, a disaster in Argentina took place wherein the Argentine economic crisis of 1999 to 2003 resulted in a sharp reduction in GDP and a significant increase in poverty and unemployment. In 1999, Argentine residents' trust in politicians and political institutions was already at an all-time low, owing in part to previous crises and the fact that the country's economic distribution had become significantly more uneven in the 1990s.
It seems that those crises were primarily blamed on the massive political follies, but their contagion implications were incredibly concerning.
That's right, but since 2007, many countries had been giving their best efforts to restore stabilization. This is Alyana Glorioso reporting.
Thank you, Alyana. Before proceeding to the next topic, we're going to have a quick break. Achievers, please stay with us and we'll return shortly. This is TCWD Patrol.
For decades, scientists have been explaining the way in which humanity is driving the three planetary crises of climate, biodiversity, and pollution, all of which are linked to unsustainable production and consumption. Changes in consumption and production patterns can help to promote the decoupling of economic growth and human well-being from resource use and environmental impact. They can also trigger the transformation envisaged in global commitments on biodiversity, the climate, and sustainable development in general. As of December 2020, 40 countries and territories had reported on sustainable public procurement policies and action plans, or equivalent legal disposition, aimed at encouraging the procurement of environmentally sound, energy-efficient products and promoting more socially responsible purchasing practices and sustainable supply chains. As citizens, here are some of the practices that we can do in our homes and in our everyday life to accomplish responsible consumptions. Number 1. Buying better. Buying greener products when buying in the marketplace. Number 2. Consuming better. Wasting less and having more sustainable consumption. Only getting enough food to avoid food wastage. Turning off the faucet when not in use to conserve water and not waste water as much as possible. Turning off appliances and taking off their plugs when not in use. Number 3. Throwing away better, taking into account recycling in particular.
Talking about sustainability, according to Molenkamp 2021, sustainability in the broadest definition refers to the ability to maintain or support a process across time. In the context of business and politics, sustainability aims to prevent the depletion of natural or physical resources so that they can be used indefinitely. With that said, let us hear more from Rhea Jaboli about sustainability. Rhea?
Thank you, Mary. Sustainability considers long-term capacities of a system to exist, not short-term resistant to change. In 1987, Brundtland report from Board Commission on Environment and Development stated that development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs deserve the label of sustainability.
Speaking of future generations, in the present, technology has become a fantastic escape from the sustainability dilemma.
That's a fact, Mary. We can't doubt what you said. The neoclassical growth hypothesis that was first developed in 1956 by Robert Solow and Travers Swan can be connected with technology and sustainability. Neoclassical growth theory is an economic theory that explains how a constant rate of economic growth is achieved by interaction of three forces: labor, capital, and technology. The idea also contends that technological change has a significant impact on economy and that economic growth cannot be sustained without them. The Solow Swan model from this theory saw the only chance of innovation that postulates a continuous production functions that connects output to capital and labor inputs and leads to the economy's steady-state equilibrium.
According to what you mentioned, a sheer increase of the number of resources added to input could lead to diminishing marginal returns only. New ideas in technology and organization made it possible to overtake the steady state of zero growth and induce development without increasing resources.
It is true. We also have another theory entitled New Growth Theory by Paul Romer and Robert Lucas, which arose in 1980s that presumes the desire and wants of the populace will drive ongoing productivity and economic growth. Endogenous factors like human capital and education were recognized as crucial for growth and their application was free from the steady state of classical resources.
But in the 19th century, the issue of sustainability considered many social conditions in early industrial capitalism. Modern debate on sustainability focused mainly on environmental questions.
That is also correct. Those mentioned issues was reinforced by the famous book Tragedy of Commons, wrote by Garth Hardin in 1968, which analyzed how public goods got exhausted by actors in a free market economy. Another book published in 1972 by the Club of Rome entitled The Limits to Growth tackles the connection rising awareness of the sustainability problem in environmental issues and resources translated also into international cooperation. That's all from reporting, Mary.
Thank you, Rhea. We can conclude that sustainability perspectives started to be visible not only in the environmental area but also on the theme of overpopulation.
Therefore, human overpopulation is one of the most pressing environmental challenges contributing to global warming, pollution, habitat loss, the sixth mass extinction, intensive farming methods, and unsustainable exploitation of scarce natural resources, including fresh water, agricultural land, and fossil fuel.
That is all for today's news in TCWD Patrol. Once again, I am Mary Alvaro.
I am Josh Penasales.
And we are the TCWD Patrol,
dedicated to bringing the latest news around the globe.